On today's podcast, we're going to be talking about moving from healthcare to self-care, the influences in your life, and choosing a health plan. And I've got my good friend Sue Benzel on here to discuss these topics with me, she's also an independent certified health coach. We all face challenges, crucibles in life that make us or break us, and our health is often the biggest crucible we will face. This podcast is designed to help you achieve your health goals through simple, strategic, and proven methods. In every episode, we'll learn about how to overcome your health crucibles and live your best life. Hello, everybody. I'm Marylee Atenhan coming to you live from my Diva Den studios here in Brentwood, Tennessee for my podcast, Crucible. On today's podcast, we'll be talking about, are you really ready to change your health? And we're going to explore moving from a healthcare mindset to a self-care mindset, the influences in our life that either enables health or disables health, and choosing a health plan. So I'd like to introduce my guest today, and that is Sue Benzel. And I got to know Sue through one of my former college, or through my high school graduating class, one of my best friends, and found out later that she was roommates with Sue. Sue became her coach, and Sue is now, she's my independent certified health coach as well as myself. So Sue lives in Alliance, Nebraska, Western Nebraska. I grew up in Scotts Bluff, so we call that God's country. That's the Panhandle. My husband would disagree, but he doesn't know that is really the truth. So anyway, and Sue's married to Trent. She's got two beautiful children, Brian and Aaron, and three beautiful grandchildren, Cooper, Carter, and Ben. And she's also been a first grade teacher for 23 years. So welcome, Sue. So glad to have you.
Thank you, Marylee. I'm really excited to be here today with you and share in some of this experience.
Yeah. Yeah, you bet. Of course. And you're such a great coach and such a great person. You have such a heart for other people. I thought you've got to be on. So anyway, and that's why I asked you. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and go on. And I was just going to share in my introduction that according to the CDC, 71% of all Americans are overweight, and obesity has increased from 30.5% to 41.9% in 2020. And obesity-related health conditions are heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and certain types of cancer. These are among the leading causes, but they're preventable and they cause premature death. So
that's exactly right. To figure out how to reach optimal health is exactly what we all need to do to have the most optimal life.
Absolutely.
Most people don't think that this is even possible, and they don't believe that we're capable of achieving optimal health, but we are, and they just need to know where to start.
Exactly. And if they're ready to start, right? So Sue, how do you know, or how do we change or know if you're ready?
It's all about mindset. You have to change your mindset from healthcare to self-care. And an open, growth-oriented mindset is the best type of mindset to have. Yeah,
and we've talked about mindset, I think, on every single episode of my Crucible, because it is so crucial. Because if your head is not ready, then your heart's not going to follow. So, but what I have found in my coaching, and I think we've coached over 600 people now, but most of these people come to me from a healthcare mindset. And that sounds a lot like, I don't have any health issues, so I don't really know if I need to be on this program. Or I don't take any medication, so I'm really healthy. I don't go to the doctor because I don't have to. They just absolutely have never had anything checked. And I'm talking people that are, anywhere from 30s up to 78. I've heard this from pretty much every age bracket, and they think they're fine. But in reality, of course, they don't know what's going on at the cellular, molecular level, within their body. So, Sue, what excuses are, they are excuses, obviously, but what kind of healthcare reasons have you been given as a coach?
Yeah, one of the main ones is, it costs too much to be healthy.
Yeah.
So many people say that, to go to the grocery store, It costs too much to buy the healthy things. You know, it's easier to buy the junk food. It's easier to go through fast food and for the convenience.
And it's cheaper.
Oh, exactly.
Well, it used to be cheaper.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, it's just it's a convenience, and people's lives are so busy, and you know that's part of it. But they need to put their health number one because it's so important.
Yeah, absolutely.
You won't be around if you're not healthy. You're not going to be around.
Right, exactly. And health is wealth. You know, the healthier you are, the less money you're spending on medications, going to the doctor, seeing the specialist, you know, and all that. So a self-care mindset is exactly what it sounds like. It's all about self-care. And as a working mom and female, I think I hit the trifecta of being so incredibly busy throughout my teaching career that it was a struggle to think of myself first, because I was always thinking about my kids, my husband, you know, my children. Do I have everything planned for tomorrow? And my job was much like a coach's. It just extended from October all the way through to the, you know, like graduation, with out of school stuff. You understand. And I never worked 8 to 4. And Sue, I know you don't either, because I spent all my summer preparing for the next school year, you know, things like that. But some of this healthcare that I did do that kept me sane and not going crazy or bonkers was to journal. And I read a lot of self-help books, a lot of devotional books. This is called Made to Crave, and Lisa Turkhurst is a great author. She's a Christian author, and she also wrote I'll Start Again Monday. So this is specifically diet kind of oriented. I'm just showing these ones to you today because I've got a whole bookcase. But Kimberly Taylor, she's fabulous, a fabulous female of faith. TakeBackYourTemple.com is her website. She's great to check out. And this is a devotional again. I go back and forth through these things all the time. And I've done a self-love workbook. And that's one of the new ones. But, you know, I've always been a reader, and being an educator, that's always been something that's important to me. And truly would get nuggets. Of course, you know, I'm reading choral journals and, you know, all of the music stuff as well. But I really depend on my faith, my prayer, meditation, and I always exercised, for the most part, portion control. So I allowed myself to eat whatever it was that I wanted to eat, but I just didn't eat a lot of it. Yeah. And the stuff that I was eating was not necessarily healthy, you know, and it, you know, I was not in a healthy state, and that led me to seek this program out, you know, as well as my husband, who had blood pressure issues. You know, he had the healthcare mindset, and he had to get a CPAP. And so he said, sign me up. And sure enough, 3 months later, he's lost 40 pounds, and he didn't need either, you know. And my issue was my cholesterol. And my whole lipid panel was completely skewed off and unhealthy. And I went on this program and heard about a lifelong transformation. I thought, this is different. This is not meant to be a diet. And lost the 32 pounds in 3 months, you know, kept it off 4 years later, and as well as my husband. And here we, you know, still are. So, because you just feel so great. Anyway, but what are some examples of self-care that you use or rely on?
Well, exactly. For me, that's one of the main reasons that for myself, number one, I didn't feel good in my skin, but my cholesterol was ridiculous. And, you know, my doctor said, you need to get some weight off and get that under control. And with doing that, those numbers changed drastically. And, you know, the same for my husband. And he's a big weightlifter, and he, you know, we checked with the dietitian to make sure that with him lifting weights and doing the program, what he needed to do to add into the diet to make sure that he was getting everything that he needed. And his numbers changed, and blood pressure was so much better. So, you know, being healthy, we felt like we were healthy already. We ate well, like you said, but it truly is, it's a way of looking at what you're putting in your mouth, and what you thought maybe was healthy, maybe wasn't as healthy as what it really, what it should be. So, yeah. But that same for us.
Right. And
we're huge.
Well, yeah. And I didn't share that mine went from, like, my triglycerides went from 395 down to 170, which is below normal. So everything came back to below the normal level, or, in the healthy range. And and it stayed there. And I go next week to get it checked again. So I am one of those people that, it's like, I want to take my health seriously, but I know you do a lot of things outside as well. And I used to walk around our elementary school because winters are brutal in Nebraska. And it was just a great way to, get in my extra steps, and had our school gave us pedometers when those things, came in. And I thought, oh, this is just the best thing ever.
Yeah.
So, and I know that, that you do a lot. You'd rather be outside.
I would absolutely rather be outside, and because you are cooped up inside during the school year, and with our winters that we have, I would rather be outside gardening and walking, and going to the gym and doing, which I'm inside when I'm doing that. But when the weather's nice, anything that's outside, riding my bike and doing all of those things, that physical activity for me is key. Yeah. It just is. It's exactly so good for your body.
Yeah, I agree. And for your
sanity.
Oh, for your sanity. Exactly.
Yeah. When you just need to clear your mind, going for a quick walk, just being outside, pulling some weeds, doing anything like that, mowing the lawn, it just helps clear your mind. It just helps that mindset.
I would agree with that 100%. And that was one thing that I would do when I was really frustrated or had a horrible situation happening, and I just walk like a demon around that school.
Absolutely.
My husband, Kevin, would say, "When are you coming back?" It's like, I don't know, when you see me. So,
and we're blessed at our school because our school truly promotes that for us. They have an exercise room at the school for us, and we participate in. It's a nationwide program that promotes sleep and diet and exercise, all of the above. And so that's phenomenal as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And more workplaces are going to that as well. They've got 2 fabulous gyms. They've got trainers. They can pick which classes. They offer classes all during the day, and they're excused from their desk to go work out. And it's a fantastic thing. I love that. I love that people finally figured that out. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. And to my second point, there are a lot of influences in our life that either, basically help us, or they're going to hurt us, or, propel us forward, or, make us stop in our tracks. And unfortunately, as children, we adopt those beliefs and values, and that's what drives our thoughts as adults. And I've never realized that until just, the past 6 months, as well as our actions. So why don't you share, Sue, some of the people or the groups that you've seen? I could ditto. I know what you're going to say, and I can ditto everything within my teaching career too. But you share, the influences that you saw as a teacher.
Yeah. The children in my classroom, I teach first grade. And, my kids influence me on a daily basis. The minute they walk into my classroom, you can read all over their faces whether they've had a good morning before they've ever come into, to school and into your classroom. And one of my little kids, he came in from recess one day, and I was eating one of our snacks, and his mom happened to be one of my clients. And he looked at me and he said, "Mrs. Benzel, why are you eating that? My mom eats that same stuff." And he said, "You don't need to eat that. My mom's fat and you're not fat. Why are you eating?" I thought that was cute, and I just
from the mouths of babes. Yeah,
you don't have to be fat to eat this.
Right.
And but my kids influence me in more ways than you can count.
Yeah. I understand that. And my parents were, I found out a lot of my issues have started maybe with some of the things that happened to me as a child. But Kevin has been, my spouse has been extremely supportive. My children have been, I had teachers that were supportive of me. I had great coaches throughout my life that were a total inspiration to not only to be healthy, but to want to do your best, and to succeed, not just to win, but excuse me, but to learn from losing as well.
Yes.
So, and a lot of kids don't have, the thing I found that here in Tennessee was there were a lot of kids with no mentors in their lives. They didn't have parents. They were being raised by their grandparents, maybe. It was just, they didn't have anybody. And so they would cling to me, and I had love and acceptance, inclusion for everybody. And they'd come in my classroom and they'd shut my office door and go, okay, Mrs. A, I need to talk, and I'm thinking, oh no, did they get suspended because we're singing next week for our state festival? And I'm thinking, this is my lead tenor, and then it'd be something about their girlfriend. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's like life advice. And that was pretty chronic. I became a counselor early on in my career, and I never expected that. So, but I tried to be that supportive force, and not, the negative one that would drag people down. So, yeah. The bottom line is, though, that you've got to have people in your, behind you, on your team, so to speak. And that's what I love about our program, because we have the health coaches. You're 30% more successful to have a health coach in our community.
Absolutely.
And also to dig into the community and find friends that, you realize, okay, I'm not alone. We are not alone. Everybody struggles. And that was such almost a relief to me to realize, and there's no judgment, there's no shame, there's no, keeping track. I don't know. There's no biting, and stuff like that. So that supported community, I think, means, at least for me, has meant everything.
The community of this program is undescribable, because there's always another coach. If one coach doesn't have the answer, you can call anybody, and get help. Yeah. And that's the phenomenal thing about it. And, I know when we went to convention, and even the people that worked for the place where the convention was held, said they couldn't get over the community of our people and how nice all of us were, and how helpful we were to them. And, it truly is a community of wonderful people.
Yeah. And we're also known for being great tippers. And that's kind of one of the ways that we can pass on that abundance. And usually we, Kevin and I try to tip half of whatever it is. Yep. I do that at my hair salon. I do that at my nail salon. We do that in restaurants. And sometimes we pay 100% of our meal, in our tip. And those waitresses inevitably always come back, or waiters, and they're in tears. They're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. That just really means a lot. And so that's super cool. So how do you choose a health plan?
How do you choose a health plan? Well, you visit with your clients as to what their needs are. And, do they need the 3-in-1? Do they need the 4 2-in-1? What are their needs, and what are their lifestyle? And, I've had clients, I had a client that was a type 1 diabetic, and she did fantastic on the program, and was able to, she was so struggling with diabetes, and it was able to get her levels under control by using our program. So, I agree. And I'm going to throw this in because I like to do research behind whatever it is that I'm talking about. But I know that there was a survey done with the Arch of Internal Medicine
whatever that may be. I don't even know, but there are 25,000 people that were interviewed. And so if you're looking for a health plan, there were 4 things that reduced the risk of disease. And 80% of these people did these 4 things. They were non-smokers. They had a BMI of less than 30. I'm not sure if that goes into the obese category or not, but anyway, it was less than 30. They did 3.5 hours of exercise or activity a week. And their diet consisted of a high intake of fruits and vegetables, whole grain bread, and they lowered their meat consumption.
Yes.
So that sounds vaguely familiar,
yes.
doesn't it? Because
yes. Yeah.
Our program promotes all of that. I don't think it goes into the smoking, but they just kind of assume that. And I know I've been on a plethora of diets, and I was able to always lose weight, but I was never able to keep it off. And, you and I both talked about Weight Watchers. They had a counselor that was helpful. But the weight loss was so incredibly slow, which maybe some people love, 2 pounds a month, kind of like instead of 2 pounds a week. The Diet Center in Nebraska was super helpful for me. And I don't even think they're in business anymore. And I know you did Ideal Protein. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had great success with getting weight off. But when it was time to focus and get back into a normal diet, and there was no coaching for that, and I was kind of just left hanging, and it was scary. And then eventually, you end up going back to those old habits because that coaching isn't there. I was not taught how to correctly do that. And
I would ditto all of that because, I think it's also a marketable ploy because, right, if you gain the weight back, you're going to come back.
Because then you come back. You come back.
Right. So I'm going to share my life book. This is a book that both Sue and I use and we coach from. But this is by Dr. Anderson as well. And you can get this on Amazon. But I look at all these things that are tabbed, the first element of why are you here? I go back to that all the time because my why has changed, because now my cholesterol on my lips, I am healthy on the inside. And, so now I have to find, excuse me, a different why. And that is, I want, optimal health. I've added weightlifting. I've added, way more exercise, how to have a healthy mindset. But for me, it was truly about changing my mind, the mind piece. And I never got that to the extent that what we preach this and coach it and encourage it, from any of those other programs. So
yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is really sad. Yeah.
Yeah. That lifelong transformation is possible if you dig into, both this and that Habits of Health book by Dr. Anderson as well.
Well, and Dr. Anderson's life book, which is an interactive journal to deal with changing your mind and those demons that we all carry. And it truly, you don't have to read it front to back. You can pick the element that you want to focus on and just deal with that. And then when you're ready to move on to another element, then you can. It truly is a wonderful book.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I jumped to the element 23, which is 2/3 of the way through the book on emotional eating. Because I thought, I need this now. Not, I don't know how many weeks down the road that's supposed to be. But anyway, so our program, I was, I just believe in it so much because it's so people oriented, and it's even from the top down. Dr. Anderson, I've seen him at conventions shedding tears about wanting to change the world. 21 years he's been doing this. He started this whole thing out of his own pocket. He quit being a critical care surgeon in LA, big metropolis, and he and his wife started this whole entire movement, so to speak. And for me, it's been the only thing that's worked. And my husband is, his 2 things are it's simple and it's sustainable. And it's so true because we've traveled and we've been able to keep our weight off. We've not you know, we've been able to go to family functions, you know, and keep our weight off, you know.
Yes.
So that doesn't mean that we eat healthy every day. There are days where we choose to, okay, we're going to have a cocktail or we're going to have the dessert, but I'm going to enjoy, you know, every single second of, you know, eating that, and, you know, so that I don't go crazy. But anyway.
Well, that's so true. That's what's so nice about our program is that we offer solid nutrition. You eat 6 times a day to keep your blood sugar levels, you know, even. You drink 6 ounces of water a day.
Yeah, exactly.
You eat lean portion, you know, learn your portion control. You have a lean and green. And, you know, those are easy because there's so many, a plethora of recipes, you know, for lean and greens. And you have 5 to 7 ounces of wonderful protein that you get to choose.
Right.
And then you have 3-4 ounces servings of vegetables. And, you know, and it just truly is such a simple, easy way to lose weight and a program to follow.
Yeah. And the results are, at least the first week, they're pretty amazing. And then it, you know, I think I lost 5.6 pounds, but I've had people lose up to 18 pounds that first week. Now, granted, they maybe weighed in at 389 pounds, but so they had a long ways to go, but that was such a shot in the arm. They're like, oh my gosh, it's taken me, you know, months to lose 10 pounds. And
yes.
You know, so yeah. And the other 3 parts of our program, I'll just share the health coaching part. And that's, you know, something that we do right away is we connect with people, we find out why they're doing this. You know, I connect with my people all the time. It's been years for some of these people that have, you know, successfully kept their weight off. I check in with them all the time. How are you doing? Mostly, you know, how's your wife? How are your kids? I saw on Facebook that you know, we're having troubles with whatever, you know, and I just keep that relationship, and it's all relationship built. And, you know, and I tell them right off, I'm not the food police. You know, I'm not going to tell you can't eat whatever, you know. I will help guide you through some, you know, like when you go on vacation or when you're going to a party or when you're stressed out before whatever. And, you know, we keep in touch with those people for sure. Those first 12 weeks, the first week I call those people every day. I know you do too.
Yes.
And it's great because you know, you can establish that relationship, especially with people you don't know, and find out, you know, what do you do for a living? Who are your, you know, what's your family, your kids, et cetera, you know.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I touched on the educational habits of the Habits of Health book and the life book. And that to me is, you know, the crucial piece. And then, of course, I talked about the community as well. And I do believe that you are the sum of the 5 people you hang out with the most. So if there's one of them that's going to pull you down the drain, or if your spouse isn't supportive, it's really hard. And I always ask that, is your spouse supportive of you do this? Is your partner supportive of you doing this? You know, and if they say no, then I'm kind of reluctant to even encourage them to go forward.
Yeah.
Because that, you know, as you well
definitely
know.
Need that support. I was lucky. You know, Trent didn't start the program or do the program until probably, you know, a year after I did. And he was so supportive, you know, because you know, you'll have a week or so when you don't maybe see the numbers moving so much, but when the numbers don't move, then you need to get the tape measure out because the inches are going away. But once again, that's that mindset. And because it plays games with you, you know, but the measurement helps. But Trent was so supportive for me, and he would say, no, just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and it's going to pay off. So I had huge support from him. And, you know, then when he saw the results, then, you know, he joined in. So that was awesome.
Yeah, I would ditto that too. And Kevin didn't go on the program until 3 months later after I'm down to my, you know, basically at my high school weight. And And then he came in the door and the doctor told me, you got to go do this. So sign me up,
Yeah.
And, but same thing, and right now we both want to continue. We're in maintenance. So we're still supportive. We're still, I never criticize him. I never say you shouldn't be eating that. He doesn't go there with me either. And, which is great because that's, it keeps that trust between our relationship. And it also allows you that free choice to feel like, all right, today I've just got to eat whatever it is that's, and it's usually in my mind first before it ever hits my mouth. And usually I can combat that and, the excuses we give ourselves. So, but it's great. You're right to have, that support in your family. My kids were super supportive as well to both of us, and they still are. So that's been such a sweet spot. So
yeah.
So if you are ready to change, in closing here, you can get in touch with us at myself at atenhanhealth.com or at Gmail, excuse me. My website is atenhan.optavia.com. And Sue's website is Sue Benzel, Benzel, optavia.com. So thank you so much for joining me today, Sue, on Crucible. And we're ready to help you. If you're ready, we are ready to be there and help you and support you. So everyone be blessed. Thanks for joining us.
This income testimonial is not representative of the average earnings that coaches achieve with Optavia. Only a very small number of coaches will achieve income that is within the range of this testimonial. Optavia makes no guarantee of financial success. Success with Optavia results only from successful sales efforts, which require hard work, diligence, skill, persistence, competence, and leadership. Please see the Optavia income disclosure statement for statistics on actual earnings of coaches. In a clinical study, the group on the Optimal Weight 5-in-1 plan lost 10 times more weight than the self-directed group. Average weight loss for clients on the Optimal Weight 5-in-1 plan is 12 pounds. References include Dr. A's Habits of Health book by Wayne Scott Anderson, Your Life book by Wayne Scott Anderson, The 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership by Jem Diethmer, Diana Chapman, and Kaylee Warner-Klemp, Lifelong Transformation, One Healthy Habit at a Time, Optimal Weight 5-in-1 plan, Optimal Weight 3-in-3 plan, Optavia, the 4 components of our system, Optavia Coach, The Habits of Health Transformational System, Your Life book by Dr. Wayne Scott Anderson.